Hello everyone, welcome back. Before we get started, I just want to go ahead and say that what I'm talking about is dealing with law and stuff like that. So I'm not a lawyer. I'm not legally authorized to practice law in Vietnam or anywhere else in the world for that matter. I'm just a foreigner from the United States who's very much still unemployed and likes to read in his spare time. Alright, so yeah, I'm not a lawyer, not certified to practice law, so do not take what I say as legal advice. It's just an opinion. That's it. If you have any problems and you need to consult an actual labor lawyer or attorney of some kind, go do that. Now, we're going to go ahead and start this off right. Last time I showed you the video where I was walking and it looked like it was getting ready to rain. Well, here for the past few days, even today, the weather hasn't been that great, and I've not been able to take my evening walk like I want to. But I wanted to talk about something important, and that's the law, which is something new that happened here recently. On the 7th, when I made that video, a new decree was just ratified and put into law by the Vietnamese government. And that new law is Decree 219 2025 NDCP. Now, what this means specifically is that it has to deal with foreigners and work permits. Now, under Article 154, Clause 8 of the 2019 Labor Code of Vietnam, it states that a foreigner who gets married to a Vietnamese citizen and chooses to reside in Vietnam does not need a work permit. Now, this is also supported by Article 151, Clause 3 of the Labor Code that also states that foreigners must comply with and shall be protected by the labor laws of Vietnam unless prescribed by treaties to which Vietnam is a signatory. So this does apply, alright? So 151.3, 154.8, and then we're going to get into the other laws. It's Decree 152 2020 NDCP, Article 8, Clause 2, second paragraph. That is supported by the new decree, which is 219 2025 NDCP. Now, Article 7, Clause 1 supports of the new decree supports Article 154, Clause 8 of the Labor Code. It's basically the same thing. And Article 9, Clause 4 is the exact same as the Article 152, or what I meant to say was, it's the same as Article 8, Clause 2 of Decree 152 2020 NDCP. It's the same thing. However, what's significant is the fact that Decree 219 2025 NDCP basically nullifies what happened in Article 4, Clause 13B of Decree 70 2023 NDCP, which they removed the work permit exemption certificate as a legal way for foreigners to work. So foreigners who are married to Vietnamese citizens can work, but they needed not the work permit, but the work permit exemption certificate. You see what I mean? Now, they took that away recently, so essentially all I need is just for an employer to notify the labor board 3 days before I start work about my name, nationality, what I'm supposed to do, and what the contract duration is, and the fact that my wife is Vietnamese. That's it. Well, you'd think that would be easy, right? You'd be wrong. Because of the fact that, how I put this politely. See, a lot of English centers here in Vietnam, they prefer cute, young, single, fresh off the airplane with zero experience whatsoever. And I'm the exact opposite of all that. I'm old, ugly, very much married, and I'm a father myself. So English centers don't want me. Now, why do English centers here in Vietnam push for work permits when they're not needed, especially for people like me? Well, I'll put it to you this way. For foreigners that are not married to Vietnamese citizens, it is required. But for foreigners like me where it's not required, why English centers still push for them anyways, is because of the fact they want control. And if you don't need that much paperwork to work legally here in Vietnam, then that's less control they have over you. See, what happens here is that these English centers, they like to go ahead and take their important documents and they like to keep them and they like to use that as leverage to get you to continue to work long past the point when you don't want to work for them anymore. You see, that's how they do things. But however, that's actually illegal. As we discussed in Article 17, Clause 1 of the 2019 Labor Code, number 45/2019/QH14, specifically says that it is illegal for an employer to keep personally identifiable documents, meaning anything that has your name, your picture on, stuff like that, and it's an original, they cannot keep it. I'm pretty sure it also applies to work permit too. Now see, here's the thing. If they cannot make a work permit for you, if they cannot make you a TRC card, they don't want you. They don't want me. You see, I handle my own TRC card. I don't need a work permit or exemption certificate. They don't want me. Recently, I just had an English center by the name of EMG Education refuse to hire me. Why? They say it's because I still need a bachelor's degree because that's their policy. But technically, under the laws, I don't need a bachelor's degree. See, under the laws, Article 3, Clause 8 of Decree 152/2020 NDCP describes an expert as someone who has a bachelor's degree or equivalent and at least 3 years of experience in order to qualify for that position. Now, Decree 70/2023 NDCP went into more detail about that and then went ahead and described the fact that it can be bachelor's degree or equivalent, diploma or certificate. So my college trade certificates are perfectly legal for me to use as college education here in Vietnam. And I actually have evidence that says that I was registered successfully on the Department of Education website. So for them to reject me that I don't have a bachelor's degree is just stupid. Now yeah, technically under the law, they are allowed to dictate professional requirements, like you must have a bachelor's degree instead of anything else. But the thing is though, it frustrates me the fact that I'm legally qualified to teach here in Vietnam, but yet even an English center like EMG won't take me. You see? And the recruiters that I know of and that I talk to, well, since I don't need a work permit or work permit exemption certificate, they're not interested in talking to me either. Yeah, they're not interested in talking to me because I don't need that much paperwork. You see how that goes? Well, I've actually tried applying to other jobs, especially through LinkedIn, through Vietnam Works. I've tried applying for jobs left and right, and like I said, nobody wants to hire me at all. I mean, I have experience in customer service, I have experience in retail, I have experience with cash handling, point of sale terminals, computers, stuff like that. So I at least should qualify to get a customer service position, even a remote customer service position, but nobody wants to hire me. So, honestly, I don't know what else to do. I mean, it seems to me like the only thing I can do is wait for better days. Because nobody has donated any money to me, nobody's loaned me any money, nobody's sent me any cryptocurrency, nobody's, donated to my bank account. I've received literally nothing. And like I said, there's not much I can do. I want to work. I want to provide for my family. I got my wife's 2 elderly parents-in-law, my wife, my daughter, myself to care for. But unfortunately, the plain simple fact remains that I don't have a job and nobody's going to hire me. And it's like I said a few videos ago, that here in Vietnam, you have to have a bachelor's degree for just about everything. And I don't understand why. Because jobs that shouldn't require a bachelor's degree for some reason do. You see what I mean? And the jobs that I qualify for, nobody will hire me for, even fresher, like entry level positions. Even those employers will not hire me for. And I have to ask myself why. It's super easy to hire me. You just give me a job and that's that. So why don't they want to hire me? Well, I'm still thinking about Concentrics and why they don't want to hire me, and it irritates me that even though the position specifically says open for fresher, entry level position, and even though it says high school certificate or equivalent in good English, apparently that's not good enough. My 7 years customer service experience ain't good enough. Honestly, at this point, I'm just frustrated because I want to work. Like I said, I want to work. I want to provide for my family. I want to go ahead and provide a future, you know, but I'm not allowed to, and it irritates me to no end. Now, in other news, um, my wife has been helping me apply for Vietnamese citizenship, dual Vietnamese citizenship, and well, the police have been texting her, and she's been texting them back and giving them information as they asked for it. So recently, the piece of information they asked was where we got married at, and we got married here in Ho Chi Minh City, and it was at a wedding hall. And I still remember that day when I got married, almost 7 years ago now. I was sick. Like, I had the worst case of food poisoning you could possibly imagine. And, yeah, needless to say, I could not enjoy any alcohol that day back when I was still drinking. I couldn't enjoy any alcohol that day because I was just messed up from the floor up. It was bad. After the wedding, after the ceremony, everything like that, I had to go immediately to the local clinic where I got 13 bottles, yeah, 1-3, 13 bottles of IV fluids. And then had to make a trip to the actual hospital to get more fluids put in my system before I was put right. It was bad. So yeah, not that it yeah it wasn't good at all. But I still remember though my wife coming down the stairs because we had a Buddhist ceremony at home before we went to the wedding hall, and it was a Vietnamese Buddhist wedding ceremony, and it was literally out of this world. It was fantastic. And we had to hire a guy to stand in for my dad because my dad being deceased and all, he couldn't go to the ceremony. So they had to go ahead. We had to go ahead and hire another guy to fill in for my dad, which he did a good job. I'll give him that. Um, yeah. Honeymoon. We actually had 3 honeymoons, 3 of them. The first one was to Dalat, and then Cambodia, and then Vung Tau. So yeah, it was fantastic. And promptly next year, that's when I got my teacher's license and started teaching English. And here I am, 6 years later, and I wish I never once stepped in a classroom. It's because of this. If you're white, you come from America, and your first language is English, then being an English teacher is all you're allowed to be. You're not allowed to do anything else. You're not allowed to be anything else. There's no promotion opportunities of any kind. You're just an English teacher. That's it. And if you want to work for the center in a staff position with no teaching hours, no, you can't do that. Why not? Oh, because the pay is too low. The pay isn't what a teacher makes. Who cares? Oh, well, you need to speak Vietnamese. Why is that required in the English Center? In the English Center, all the staff should speak English. If they don't speak English, what are they doing there? It doesn't matter if they're office staff, HR, academic coordinators, or the boss himself or herself. It doesn't matter. You know, if you work for an English center, all the staff there have to speak English. Not 100% Vietnamese all the time, with the academic coordinator, the HR, being the only two groups that can speak English at a B1 level. You see what I mean? And you would think that all the TAs, the teacher assistants that work for these English centers would speak English too, but you'd be wrong. Because some TAs, especially the ones that I've met, couldn't speak English at all. Like, at all, could not speak English. And I asked the academic coordinator, why is this? Why do I have TAs who can't communicate with me? Oh, well, they're students, you know. They're students. I don't care. Why can they not speak English? So, yeah. But anyways, as far as other news goes, yeah, I've still been looking for work. I've still been applying for jobs. LinkedIn, I have a couple of leads on LinkedIn, but I don't think they're really going to pan out. Vietnam Works is only good for looking up English teaching jobs. Okay, if you try to look up anything else, nobody's going to hire you. With LinkedIn, it's pretty much the same. Even though I have years of customer service experience, I'm only going to get a job teaching English because that's all anybody wants to hire me for. And I've even had companies in the United States, where I come from, turn me down because I don't live in the United States. Even though it's supposed to be a remote position, they turn me down because I'm not in the United States. Honestly, I just don't know what else to say because it's getting frustrating, like it really is. Because I've lived here in Vietnam almost 7 years, and for more than 5 years of that, I've been doing nothing but teaching English. And it's time for me to have a different job. But the problem is like it's a chicken and the egg thing. You can't get the job without the experience, but you can't get the experience without the job. And even for fresher entry level positions, nobody will hire me because I'm not a citizen. You know, even for positions that are 100% English speaking work environment, nobody wants to hire me because I'm not a citizen. That's the reason why I want to apply for citizenship and see where that goes. Because if I can get citizenship, you know, dual Vietnamese American citizenship, then I can go and start applying for work in areas that are 100% English speaking, like Concentrix. And if Concentrix still insists on turning me down, then I can go to the labor board and tell them flat out that they refuse to hire a Vietnamese citizen for a, Vietnamese citizen position. And if they say something on the lines of, well, do you speak Vietnamese? No, I don't need to. It's a 100% English-speaking working environment. It says so right on their advertisements, English-speaking and working environment. So why do I need to speak Vietnamese if everything's supposed to be done in English? Well, it's because of the staff. Okay, why don't the staff speak English? So the proof of language is not on me, it's on them. I'm willing to work, but they're not willing to hire me. My motorbike is still barely functional. I mean, it has gone without oil change for close to 9,000 kilometers now. The air filter hasn't been changed in about that time also. The back tire is starting to do like the fishy thing like this. Every time you move, it starts to feel like that. Brakes are just about gone. Yeah. It'd be nice if I could do what that one foreigner did and strike the lottery, because if I could do that, all my problems would be solved. But the chances of me winning the lottery and coming into any large amount of money is about the same as me getting hired for an English center for a position that does not involve teaching English. Runs about the same chance, I think. Anywho, the holiday that's coming up here in Vietnam is called National Day. and it's 4 days off. Now, during this National Day, essentially it's a celebration of unity of Vietnam. Culture, the people, all of it. And yeah, there's going to be a public holiday for 4 days. And according to the article, the labor code, according to the labor code, Article 112, paid public holidays, National Day is the day you're supposed to be paid for. You're allowed to take it off and be paid for it. Now, of course, most Vietnamese companies won't pay you for it, even though you have it off. They're not going to pay you for it, even though they're required to. So, yeah. Well, honestly, I can't think of much else to talk about right now because I pretty much talked about what I wanted to. So, to recap what I said earlier, is the fact that on August 7th, Decree 219/2025/NDCP passed, and Article 7, Clause 1 mirrors Article 154, Clause 8 of the 2019 Labor Code of Vietnam, number 45/2019/QH14, and Article 9, Clause 4 of Decree 219/2025 NDCP mirrors Article 8, Clause 2, second paragraph of Decree 152/2020 NDCP, which says essentially that my wife is Vietnamese. I do not need a work permit. I do not need a work permit exemption certificate. All I need is for a company to let the labor board know that, I'm married, my wife's Vietnamese, I'm American, I'm going to be doing this job, and I'm going to start on this date, and it's going to continue for 1 year. That's it. That's all you got to do. Maybe you might need a certified copy of my marriage license, my daughter's birth certificate and stuff, to prove that I have family, that my wife's Vietnamese and such. But literally, that's it. That's all they need. But, yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I can't think of much else to say right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and go do something else. But I just wanted to let everyone know that if you can, please donate. I mean, I really, really, really need the money. You can donate via PayPal. You can donate here in Vietnam if you already have a bank account by bank transfer, because I have Viettin Bank. Also, I accept Picoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDT. So I accept 6 different forms of payment. Anything helps. And like I said earlier, any donations I do get will be carefully logged and taxed appropriately, because they got Al Capone for tax evasion. That's not going to happen to me. So I will pay taxes on any and all tips/donations that I receive. If you're in Ho Chi Minh City and you want to meet up for a chat, then just simply let me know in the comment section. Now, everybody knows what I look like, so it's not like I'm going to be sneaking up on anybody. But anyways, as far as the search for the new barbell goes, I haven't found anything yet. I had a couple messages on it, but that's about it. Alright, well, it's about the half-hour mark, and like I said, I really can't think of anything else to talk about right now. So, please donate. Look in the posts. You'll see different ways to donate. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And, yeah. This is Junlei Han reporting to you live from Neighborhood 42 An Phu Dong Ward, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Saying have a good day, be safe, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.